revealed the incredible journey of a hidden albino girl who inspired three brothers and gave birth to courage in the small Midwest town of Maplewood, where the sun seemed to avoid illuminating certain corners. Jada, a 12-year-old albino girl, stood as a symbol of the unspoken burdens of difference. With her pale skin and white hair, she often felt like a ghost drifting through life, haunted by whispers and stares from those she passed. But the real ghosts were the unsung stories of her family's struggles, steeped in hard work and resilience. Jada's brothers, each wrestling with Dad's high expectations and their own dreams, felt the weight of the world on their shoulders, making home a boiling cauldron of love and frustration. Summer had arrived, bringing with it the town's annual festival, a cacophony of laughter, shouts, and music meant to unify the community. Jada's heart raced with the hope she might finally be seen, not just as the different one, but as someone who belonged. Yet, as her health took a turn, shadows crept back in, wrapping around her brothers, and pulling them further into the darkness of their family's struggles. Family dinners turned into battlegrounds, as conflicts erupted over caring for Jada against their growing ambitions. A generational weight that felt too heavy stirred inside them, especially for her brothers, who felt torn between loyalty and aspiration. The festival felt like a dream gone awry when fate nudged Jada onto the stage for a talent show she hadn't planned to join. In that moment, the spotlight found her not just a girl with albinism, but a young voice that sang with unexpected power. For the first time, the crowd erupted in applause. The hidden beauty she possessed glimmered like a rare gem. Yet, whispers took flight faster than applause. Doubts about her condition filled the air, igniting old prejudices and putting her brothers at a crossroads. They yearned to rally behind her, but the fear of association loomed like a storm cloud. As Jada retreated further into silence, their household felt the stir of an impending clash. The pressure reached a boiling point, and tensions flared. Her brothers picked sides, balancing their desire to protect Jada against the fear of being targeted for standing up. It was in this moment of turmoil that Jada remembered the stories of historical figures who fought for respect and dignity, stories that sharpened her resolve. A revival meeting to heal the divisions of the town arrived like a thunderstorm on the horizon. Jada climbed on stage, her heart pounding. As she began to speak, an electrifying hush fell over the crowd. We are not alone, and we are not defined by our differences. Her voice echoed, cutting through the community's fears and prejudices. Each word was a challenge meant to ignite recognition of shared humanity. Her brothers felt the crowd shift, their hearts racing. Would they find the courage to stand with their sister or retreat from the tempest of judgment? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jada's desperate plea transformed the atmosphere. The room held its collective breath. Would her brothers step from the shadows and embrace her light, or would fear tear their family apart? At that very moment, in the stillness, Jada knew she had to face the town's whispers. Her fight was just beginning, and hope sparkled in the air, even amid uncertainty. The moment lingered, like the final notes of a song that echoed in everyone's hearts. Jada stood on that stage, catching glimpses of her brothers, each in their own world of doubts and fears. Eli, the eldest, stared at the crowd, wrestling with his instinct to protect Jada and his desire to break free from the weight of family expectations. Miles, the middle brother, was caught between the past and the present, torn by the memories of their childhood warmth and the bitter chill of their current arguments. And little Sam, his youthful eyes, wide and innocent, reflected the confusion of a boy who just wanted to belong. Jada's voice trembled slightly, yet it was unwavering. "We all have our own battles," she continued, "but we can stand together to fight against judgment and hate." She wanted to reach out and wrap her words around her brothers like a lifeline, urging them to take a step forward. The crowd was still, an ocean of faces waiting, some curious, some judgmental, but many filled with understanding simmering just below the surface. Each heartbeat was loud in Jada's ears. Her newfound courage fought against the throbbing fear of rejection. What if she was still seen as the albino girl, the other? She inhaled deeply, anchoring herself with the spirit of the historical figures that inspired her. This was more than a speech. It was a call to arms, a plea to the humanity they all shared. As she stepped back, her brothers exchanged loaded glances. Eli felt the heat of indecision burning within him. Protect Jada, or hide from the storm? He met Miles' eyes. Both brothers weighing the invisible battle they shared, a familial loyalty weighed against the fear of their peers. Finally, Eli broke from the cloud of hesitation. He strode closer to the stage, finding a strength he hadn't acknowledged before. "Jada's right. We can't let fear dictate our family. She is not just our sister, she is a powerful voice, and we'll support her no matter what." The crowd erupted into whispered gasps, a wave of curiosity and admiration trailing Eli's words. Sam bounced on his feet, shouting, "Yay, Jada!" His innocent enthusiasm drew laughter from those around them. It was like watching a small spark ignite a pile of dry leaves, fueling a warm fire of acceptance. Then Miles stepped forward. The gravity of his previous silences was lifted. "You've always been brave, Jada. I'm sorry for not being there for you. I will stand with you." Jada felt her heart swell. This was the support she had always dreamed of. Her brothers had taken their steps into the light, choosing love over fear. It filled her with an indescribable warmth, a sensation she could have only wished for in her loneliest moments. As applause erupted and cheers rang out, the heaviness that had once drowned their family slowly dissipated. But even amid the joy, Jada noticed familiar faces in the crowd twisted in doubt. The battle was over. The real test lay ahead. Would the townsfolk embrace the change, or would they cling to their biases, fueled by fear? Jada looked out into the crowd, feeling the weight of her journey as beginning, rather than its conclusion. As she took a step back beside her brothers, she whispered, "This is just the start, we've got more to do." And just like that, the next chapter loomed, filled with uncertainty and the tantalizing possibility of redemption. How far could they go when faced with the fragile threat of acceptance? The applause faded, but Jada's heart raced like a drum, still echoing the affirmation her brothers had given. She felt buoyed by their courage, but the weight of the crowd's judgment lingered. Eli, Miles, and Sam stood alongside her, but she could sense the tension clinging to them, as thick as the humidity in the air. Minutes later, as families started to disperse, gossip began to swirl like leaves caught in a whirlwind. Some voices were supportive, but others cut sharper. Jada's stomach twisted as she picked out the murmurs. "Have you seen how she looks? What kind of family is that?" Eli, standing tall beside her, felt the sting of those words too. "Ignore them, Jada. They'll come around," he insisted, but his voice trembled just a bit, revealing an uncertainty he couldn't fully hide. "Will they?" Her question hung heavy between them. "What if this doesn't change anything? What if we just made things worse?" She stared out at the retreating figures of their neighbors, searching for encouragement in familiar faces, but many averted their gaze, their thoughts hidden behind closed doors. Miles placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You've done so much already. You've shown them a side of you they've never seen," he said. "Not just you. Us." "But it's not just about us," she replied, her voice breaking. "It's about everyone else who feels different. It's about the people who will still look at me and only see my skin. Then we educate them, Eli said with raw determination. We do it together. We keep this momentum going. We show them there is nothing wrong with who you are. Jada felt a spark of hope flicker inside, but it was fragile. What about Sam? This whole thing, it's heavy. Sam stood, wide-eyed, absorbing it all. Jada worried that the weight of her journey was more than a child should bear. We protect him. We make sure he knows he has got a family that loves him, Miles said firmly. This is our chance to be role models, and to show him what standing together means. We take it step by step. As they spoke, Jada caught a glimpse of a figure lingering at the edge of the crowd. A girl from school, Vanessa, stood with arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Jada's gut twisted. She recalled the whispered insults and snickers that danced around her hallways like ghosts. Would Vanessa's stance only add to the weight, or could she be an ally? Eli noticed Jada's glazed eyes on Vanessa. You going to talk to her? I don't know, Jada stammered, nerves bubbling up inside. What if she just joins in with everyone else? Or what if she has a friend waiting to be found? Miles answered, a hint of encouragement in his voice. Just breathe, Jada, Eli said, squeezing her hand. He was already stepping forward, breaking the invisible wall formed by years of tension between them. The moment felt electric. Jada watched as Eli approached Vanessa, a figure she had once seen as an enemy, but was now a potential bridge to newfound understanding. Did she dare hope for the possibility of friendship? Would it be a jumping-off point to greater conversations? Jada's heart thumped painfully in her chest. The weight of the moment settled anew. She could feel anticipation swirling, the thrill of what could come next, and the fear of judgment that still loomed. As the two spoke, all Jada could do was watch, wondering if this was the turning point she'd craved, or just another straw on the camel's back. Would they find common ground? With her brothers beside her, she took a breath and stepped forward. It was time to embrace whatever came next, but would they be ready for the challenge that awaited? Jada could only wait and see. Jada's heart raced as she watched Eli and Vanessa engage in conversation. Her chest felt tight. A mix of hope and fear fluttered within her. The crowd, once a sea of faces, became a blur, all her focus honed in on the two figures standing under the fading afternoon sun. Vanessa's arms slowly uncrossed as Eli spoke, his hands animated, searching for the right words. Jada held her breath. Would they find understanding? Or would Vanessa's past actions echo loudly in this moment? Miles leaned in closer, and Sam, curious, followed suit. What are they saying? Sam whispered, eyes wide with intrigue. I don't know, Jada replied, her voice barely a whisper. But I hope it's something good. The seconds stretched into what felt like an eternity, and Jada's mind raced. Memories of locker room taunts and hallway snickers flashed in her mind. Could Vanessa really change? Could she see beyond the skin that had always made Jada feel different? Eli glanced back at Jada, catching her eye. There was a glimmer of encouragement on his face, and it steadied Jada just a bit. She took a deep breath, clinging to Eli's optimism, and watched intently. I've seen the things you've done, Vanessa said, her tone lower than before. The choir, the rally, it's brave. Jada's heart skipped a beat. Was this the acknowledgement she had yearned for? Eli nodded. I know it's not easy. But we want to change. We want to make it easier for everyone who feels they don't fit in. Jada felt Miles tense beside her. That's it, Eli, he murmured, but will she take that first step? Before Jada could ponder further, Vanessa's expression softened. And you're right, she continued. I've said some things I regret. I don't want to be that person anymore. The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken possibility. Jada's throat tightened again, but this time with cautious optimism. Could this be a turning point, not just for her, But for Vanessa, too? Maybe we could work together? Vanessa suggested, vulnerability shining through her words. I mean, to start some conversations. In school. You know? Eli's face broke into a smile, mouth open in disbelief. Really? Really, Vanessa replied, nodding slowly. I'm tired of being ashamed of who I am. Maybe it's time to change things. Jada felt an unfamiliar flutter of excitement rise in her chest. It was like feeling the first rays of sun after a long, cloudy night. But at the same time, a sense of dread lingered. What if this was just a momentary spark extinguished by reality? Laughter and chatter flowed from the departing families, and the familiar sounds twisted around her thoughts. Jada glanced back at her brothers, who were just as stunned as she was. They shared unspoken reassurance in their eyes, bolstering her courage. She felt a shift. Maybe, just maybe, things could change. Can I join you all? Jada found herself saying, stepping forward. Immediately, she felt the weight rise a little. It felt bold. Maybe it was time to turn the tide, from a worried sister to someone who could lead. Absolutely, Vanessa replied, warmth lacing her words. Eli beamed at Jada, his enthusiasm lifting some of the heaviness still clinging to her heart. This is great, Jada. But just then, a loud voice interrupted their moment, cutting through the fragile bubble that had formed around them. What are you losers talking about? A jarring laughter followed from a group of older students nearby. Jada's heart sank again, the swirling doubt crashing back in like a tidal wave. Would this change withstand the pressure? Would they truly emerge from the shadow of judgment? She turned to her brothers, determination now mixed with a flicker of fear in her eyes. Was this just the start of a long uphill battle? Or could this actually lead to something remarkable? With her heart pounding, Jada took a step forward, this time toward the voice that challenged them. It was time to confront fear head-on, and she could only hope that her courage would ignite something in others as well. What would happen next? Jada could hardly wait to find out. Jada felt the heat rise to her cheeks, but she squared her shoulders, refusing to let the taunt shatter her resolve. The laughter bounced around her, echoing the memories of past hurt, but she pushed back against those ghosts. She was done hiding. What is it to you? Jada shot back, her voice stronger than she felt. We're talking about making things better. Maybe you should try it sometime. The laughter stopped for a moment. The older students exchanged confused glances, as if the weight of Jada's words hung heavily in the air. It was a gamble. Would they laugh again? Would they come at her with more cruelty? The leader of the group, a tall boy with dark sunglasses perched on his head, narrowed his eyes. You think you can just change everything? You're just a weird girl, nobody cares what you think. Jada felt Eli's hand on her arm, steadying her. That's where you're wrong, he interjected, stepping forward and squaring up to the bully with a confidence that rivaled Jada's own. People do care. They care about change. They care about each other. Jada marveled at Eli's bravery. Did he really mean it? She could feel the tide beginning to shift, the small moment of possibility tumbling into something grander. What is so special about her? Another girl from the group sneered, tapping her foot impatiently. You think just because you've got a few friends to back you up, you can take us on? Sam and Miles, ever-supportive brothers, stepped closer to Jada and Eli, their resolve evident in their stances. Jada glanced at them, an unspoken bond forming in that moment, a collective courage that felt electric. Being different isn't a crime, Jada said, her voice steady now, fueled by the passion surging through her. It's what makes us unique. Why can't you see that? Why can't we all just accept each other? Silence blanketed the crowd. Jada's heart raced. Was she really saying this? Could they actually make a difference? Then, Vanessa joined in. She is right. Imagine if we spent less time judging and more time lifting each other up. We could start right now. The older students exchanged glances again, and for a moment, the annoyed facade cracked. Confusion flickered in their eyes. It was a tiny opening, but it was there. The tall boy huffed, "Yeah, okay, like that's going to happen." Still, his voice lacked its previous bite, hinting at curiosity rather than confrontation. "Why not?" Jada pressed. "Change can start anywhere. Why not here? Why not now?" The murmurs began to swirl back and forth among the students. Jada could feel the shift. The crowd was intrigued, even if hesitant. Maybe this was the breakthrough they all needed. But before Jada could bask in the glimmer of hope, the tall boy waved a dismissive hand. "Whatever, loser. I've got better things to do," he scoffed, but the crowd was less determined to follow him now. As they moved away, Jada felt a rush of adrenaline. They hadn't fought back with fists or insults. Instead, they had faced hostility with courage and a vision for something better. Jada turned to Eli, Sam, Miles, and Vanessa, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I can't believe we just did that," Jada breathed, the warmth of their shared moment wrapping around her like a cozy blanket. Eli grinned widely, "And we're just getting started." Jada felt more determined than ever. This was just the beginning of something monumental. They could be the voice that brought real change, not just for themselves, but for others who felt lost and alone. As they stood together, the laughter of a few nearby students faded into the background. Hope began to fill the space around them, and Jada wondered what they could create together. But then, the sound of footsteps returned, louder this time, quick and purposeful, creeping closer. Jada turned her head, heart pounding. What if those footsteps belonged to someone who wouldn't share the same vision? What if this was just the start of something even more challenging? Jada's resolve solidified, but anxiety crept back in, mingling with her courage. Whatever was coming their way, she was ready to face it head on. What lay ahead could change everything. Jada felt a jolt of fear ripple through her as the footsteps grew closer. She glanced at Eli, whose expression mirrored her unease. The group of older students had started to disperse, but the tension hung in the air like a storm cloud. A figure emerged from the shadows, a girl with bright pink hair and a confident stride. Jasmine, known for her sharp wit and fearless attitude, was both thrilling and intimidating. As she approached, Jada barely had time to register her presence before Jasmine raised an eyebrow, assessing the scene. "What is going on here?" Jasmine asked, her voice smooth but demanding. The crowd fell silent, and Jada could feel every eye flicking back and forth between them. It was clear Jasmine was used to being in control. "We're just talking about how things could be better," Jada managed to say, her voice steadier than she felt. Jasmine crossed her arms, a skeptical look on her face. "And you think you can just enact change with a few heartfelt words? That cute but naive." Jada's heart sank as she felt the weight of Jasmine's skepticism, but she wasn't going to back down. "I don't think it's cute. It's real. We want to make this place better for everyone." For a moment, Jasmine seemed to hold onto her doubt, but then something shifted. The tension coiled around them loosened just enough for Jada to sense at the undercurrent of possibility that was meant to rise from this moment. "Okay, let us say I entertain this," Jasmine replied, her tone softer. "What is your plan? You can't just tell people to be nice and expect that to work." Jada exchanged glances with her friends, and she could feel Eli's encouragement igniting a spark in her. "We start small. We create spaces where everyone can share their stories. Like a club or a meeting where everyone can feel seen." A flicker of interest sparked in Jasmine's eyes. "Interesting. But it won't be easy," she added, leaning closer. "You're gonna need more than just words to get the attention of the popular kids, you know?" "I know," Jada replied, her voice resolute. "But I believe enough people want change. We need to show them that being different isn't something to laugh at, but something to celebrate. Just then, a burst of laughter erupted from a nearby group of older students. It felt like a sharp sting to Jada's heart. Jasmine, sensing the shift in energy, smirked knowingly. "Look! They're just going to keep laughing until you give them a real reason not to." "No more running away from this," Jada said, meeting Jasmine's gaze with determination, grounding herself into the moment. "They need to understand that making fun of us doesn't define who we are. We want to be silenced. Let us show them how strong we can be together." Jasmine leaned back, her expression morphing into something more thoughtful. "All right. I'm willing to help you with a catch. You'll need to bring a few more people into this movement of yours, and I can help you. But you've got to actually mean it if you want it to matter." Jada nodded, excitement bubbling within her. This was the opening she was hoping for. "Great. Let us do this," Jada said, heart swelling with hope. As they began to talk strategy, rejuvenated by the momentum of newly forged alliances, the laughter from earlier faded into the background. The air felt electric, buzzing with purpose. But as they brainstormed, another echo reached Jada, the unmistakable sound of mocking laughter, closing in once more. Could this finally be the tipping point, or was this all just a setup for their next blow? Jada wondered, heart pounding. No matter what lay ahead, she knew that courage was born from facing fears, and she felt ready to take the plunge into the unknown. Could they really change hearts, or was this only the beginning of a journey paved with challenges? Jada took a deep breath, the charge of new ideas filling her lungs. Her mind raced with details as they started to map out how to rally more support. Images swirled in her head: posters, flyers, gatherings in the courtyard. She was ready to fight for what she believed in. This was it. This was the moment she had been waiting for. Eli leaned over, his finger tapping on the edge of the table. "What if we created an event? Something big that would really draw people in?" His enthusiasm was infectious, pushing Jada's excitement even further. "Like a talent show?" Jada asked, her face lighting up. "Something where everyone gets to showcase their strengths. It would be fun and let people express themselves. We could promote positivity while highlighting our differences." Jasmine nodded, the wheels clearly turning in her head. "That could work. But you'll need to get some of the popular kids on board. They are the ones who can pull crowds." The words hung in the air, but Jada felt a rush of determination. "That's the point. We need to show them that we can all coexist. If we can get them to join in, other students will follow. We just need to break through the barriers." But the laughter she heard earlier didn't fade away. It grew louder, echoing down the hallway. Jada clenched her fists, feeling anger mixed with her resolve. Would they ever let her be? "Let us take this moment and use it," Jasmine said, her voice lowering as if it was a secret. "We'll turn those laughs into applause." Jada's heart raced at the thought. "Yes. Let us show them that laughing at us is not an option anymore." She glanced around, noticing other students eavesdropping. This was their chance to reach out, to connect. "How about we gather them all in the courtyard tomorrow? We can make announcements, put up our plans, get ideas rolling. Let us make it a team effort." Jasmine grinned, and it was like a tiny solar flare. "I'll help promote it. Once we plant the seed, it can grow." Jada could feel adrenaline coursing through her. They might actually pull this off. But there was still a voice gnawing at her confidence. "And if they laugh?" "Let them," Jasmine said, her confidence transitioning into fierce loyalty. "Every great movement starts with resistance. We'll give them a reason to join us instead." As they continued to formulate ideas and plans for the event, Jada noticed a few faces lingering at the edge of their group. Some familiar faces were hesitant, but undeniably curious. With her heart pounding, she stepped closer to them. "Hey, guys. We're planning something really cool. You should join us. We want to create a place where everyone feels like they belong. You mean like a safe space? One girl asked, her tone full of uncertainty. Exactly, Jada replied, smiling brightly. A safe space for everyone to share and celebrate who they are. It's time to let our differences shine. Slowly, the laughter from the other students began to fade. The murmurs among Jada's peers started to transform into whispers of interest. Could it be? Was this her moment? As she spoke, she felt the weight of Jasmine's supportive gaze at her back, and it pushed her to reach higher. Suddenly, a sharp burst of laughter erupted again from the older students nearby. But this time it wasn't just mockery. It had a tone of intrigue. Something within her stirred, and she realized they were starting to notice. Let us make sure we take this chance, Jada continued, energized. I know we can do this. Together. Jasmine leaned forward, locking eyes with her. This is only the beginning. Tomorrow, we begin to break down the walls. But beneath those bright visions of a hopeful future, doubt flickered. Would they really come together? Would change happen? In that moment, Jada couldn't shake the feeling of the eyes watching her, judging her. Could she lead them through this storm? Her heart beat faster with every unanswered question lingering in the air. Tomorrow would tell the tale, and she only hoped her voice would be strong enough to carry them all forward. What if this was only the start of something much bigger and much scarier? Jada awoke the next day, with the rising sun casting warm streams of light through her window. She felt the weight of possibility, mixed with the lingering shadows of her doubts. The plan for the talent show had taken root, and today, they would either watch it grow or let it wither. As she hurried to school, she rehearsed her words in her mind. This is a safe space for everyone, she repeated like a mantra. Her heart pounded in her chest with the rhythm of uncertainty. Would they really listen? Would they understand? When she arrived, the courtyard buzzed with energy. The laughter from earlier had dissipated, but the murmur of voices came to life like a living organism, swelling and shrinking as students gathered. Jada felt her stomach clench. They were all watching, some curiously, others with skepticism. With Jasmine at her side, Jada stepped into the open. She felt the sunlight warming her skin as she took a deep breath, pushing away the fear. Her voice, though a little shaky, rang clear. Hey, everyone! Thanks for being here. Today, we have something exciting to share. A few heads turned, and she spotted Eli in the crowd, his thumbs up reassuring her. She pressed on, we're organizing a talent show. It's not just about talent, it's about making everyone feel welcome. When she spoke those words, she saw a flicker of interest ignite behind some eyes. She pressed her advantage. We want a safe space where everyone can showcase who they are, share their abilities, and celebrate our differences. This is our chance to build something meaningful together. At the edge of the crowd, a tall boy with tousled dark hair chuckled, shrugging his shoulders like he had heard it all before. What, like a circus? He sneered. Jada's stomach dropped. The laughter rippled, a quick dart of mockery that threatened to undo her fragile confidence. But then she remembered Jasmine's fierce loyalty. She glanced to the side, and Jasmine caught her gaze, nodding earnestly. No, Jada responded, raising her voice above the noise. Not a circus, a community. A chance for us all to show what we can do. We're often judged for our differences, but today is about embracing them. Who else with us? Her heartbeat matched the cadence of her words, thumping louder as she finished. For a moment, silence fell. She held her breath, the weight of 1,000 hopeful gazes washing over her. Then, one by one, hands began to lift. A girl with bright, purple braids stepped forward. I'm in, she called, her voice piercing through the tension. Another joined, then another. The excitement began to ripple. Jada felt her heart swell, Was this it? Could they really do this? But as cheers erupted, she glanced back at the tall boy. His expression had shifted from mocking to contemplative. The crowd began to buzz, and she dared to hope that their laughter might change from ridicule to something else entirely. When the applause started, it felt like a wave. They were cheering for her and the idea, supporting each other, and stepping forward, bridging the gap that had once held them apart. "See?" Jasmine whispered, squeezing her arm. "They're with us." But just as quickly as the excitement built, Jada's mind stumbled over a lingering thought. What if the momentum stopped? What if the doubts drowned out their cheers? Would the crowd sustain its energy? With a flurry of ideas swirling, Jada tried to anchor herself to the moment. This was their chance, and she wouldn't let it slip away. As the crowd chanted her name, the sound washed over her like rain, refreshing yet fearfully overwhelming. In the back of her mind, a new thought loomed. Would they still be united when faced with real obstacles? What if this was just the first step towards something even greater, something bigger than any of us imagined? A weight of uncertainty hung in the air, but Jada was ready. In that moment, she realized this journey was just beginning. The excitement in the courtyard echoed like a living heartbeat. Jada soaked it in, each cheer a lifeline pulling her forward. Around her, the energy surged, fueling her resolve. This was no longer just her dream, it was theirs, a collective spark igniting hope across a sea of faces. "All right, everyone. Let us meet after school to plan," Jada called out, her voice rising as adrenaline coursed through her. The crowd's enthusiasm rippled, scattering shyness like dry leaves in the wind. She felt a sense of camaraderie blossom among them, something that had been missing in these halls for too long. As the bell rang, signaling the end of break, students streamed towards their classes. Jada could hardly focus on the lessons ahead. Instead, her mind raced with the possibilities for the talent show. What if someone sang a beautiful song? What if a shy artist unveiled a magnificent painting? The thought made her heart flutter with excitement. In her next class, with every tick of the clock, uncertainty tugged at her. What if the tall boy, now silent, rallied the others against them? They had made great strides, but the path ahead was guaranteed. She glanced around the room, spotting Jasmine, who was focused intently on their teacher. Jada felt grateful to have her by her side. When the final school bell rang, Jada practically sprinted to the courtyard. She arrived just in time to see Eli standing atop a picnic table, his hands raised like a conductor gearing up for an orchestra. "Okay, everyone. Gather around," he boomed, his enthusiasm infectious. A crowd formed, and Jada felt the vibrations of anticipation. Jada stepped forward, joining Eli on the table. "Thank you for showing up, everyone. This is just the beginning. We'll need your ideas, your talents, and your passion." The crowd buzzed with chatter now. Ideas flew through the air like fireworks. People suggested acts, dancers, comedians, poets. The mesmerizing spectrum of talent was spilling forth, becoming something bigger than Jada had ever dared to hope. But then, that familiar voice rippled through the crowd again. "What about rules?" The dark-haired boy stepped close, his brow furrowed. "You think everyone is going to feel safe just because you want it to be? What happens when someone isn't good enough? Or when things get awkward?" The energy shifted. Jada felt her heart sink. Doubts began to weave through the excitement like dark threads. She glanced around at the faces of her fellow classmates. Some looked thoughtful, while others exchanged glances. Was this the reality they faced? Jada took a deep breath, feeling the crowd's expectant eyes on her. This was a moment to embrace vulnerability, not hide from it. "You're right," she said, meeting his gaze. "It's not going to be easy. But that's why we're doing this together. We're here to support each other, not tear each other down. We grow by lifting one another up." Encouragement simmered back to life as Jasmine stepped forward. Yeah. We all know what it's like to be left out or judged. This is a chance to change those experiences. The dark-haired boy hesitated, the spark of something softer flashing in his eye. It was hope, or perhaps curiosity. One by one, faces in the crowd began to nod, a shift in the tide, as they rallied together. Jada's heart soared again. Let us create guidelines where everyone feels secure to express themselves. Together we can make it happen. When they finalized plans to formulate their ideas and structure, it felt like the dawn of a new era. Hope felt tangible as hands shot up for volunteering, each person eager to contribute. As the group dispersed, Jada felt a rush of pride. But there, in the midst of the cheers and joy, the lingering question pulsed in her mind: could they truly maintain this momentum once they faced real challenges? As Jada walked home, the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. She knew the journey ahead was fraught with uncertainty. But she also knew one thing for sure: they had begun to forge a bond that could withstand anything thrown their way. But what she didn't expect was for her biggest challenge to come from within. The days flew by, each one bringing new energy and excitement for the upcoming talent show. Jada felt like she was riding a wave of transformation, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. Each planning meeting brought her closer to her vision of acceptance and love within the community. But excitement also danced with the familiar edge of anxiety. What if they succeeded? What if they failed? On the morning of the talent show, Jada awoke with a mix of eagerness and trepidation. Today could either be a dazzling triumph or a painful nightmare. Standing in front of the mirror, she took a deep breath, grounding herself in everything they had worked for. She was ready to step into her light, not just for herself, but for everyone who felt different like her. The courtyard buzzed with life as students gathered, the air heavy with anticipation and nerves. Jada clutched her notes, heart racing as she stepped on the stage with Eli, Miles, and Jasmine. The crowd quickly quieted, and the energy grew thick around them. "Welcome, everyone," Jada began, her voice steady yet soulful. "Today is not just about showcasing talent. It's about embracing who we are, every single one of us. It's about standing together, celebrating differences, and building bridges where there were once walls." She spoke from her heart, and she could see her words resonating with the crowd. Hope flickered in the eyes of her classmates. Eli jumped in, voice strong and proud. "Let us show everyone that we are more than what they see. We are a community. Let us lift each other up instead of tearing each other down." The crowd erupted in applause. Jada shared a glance with her brothers, her heart swelling. They were truly in this together. The performances began, starting with a shy girl named Lela, who sang a beautiful, haunting song that had the entire courtyard in tears. One by one, students showcased their hidden talents. A magic act left everyone gasping with wonder, while a group of dancers moved in perfect harmony, filling the air with a rhythm that sparked joy. Laughter and cheers mixed together, and Jada felt the tide of shared acceptance growing. Then came the moment Jada had been waiting for, the time for her brothers to take the stage alongside her. Once the spotlight turned on them, Eli took the microphone first. "Today, we celebrate all voices, and we want to share ours." They began to sing a powerful anthem of unity, their voices harmonizing beautifully. With every note, Jada felt the crowd respond, their cheers drowning out the ghosts of doubt she'd fought for so long. And then she joined in, pouring all the love and hope she held inside into every syllable. A wave of emotion crashed over her. As she sang, it felt like she was not only sharing her voice, but unearthing her identity. Each note broke down barriers she had long struggled against, the echoes reaching out to those who felt unseen. When the song ended, the crowd erupted into a standing ovation. Jada beamed as she hugged her brothers tightly, tears of joy streaming down her face. It wasn't just about them anymore. It was about everyone feeling the warmth of acceptance wrap around them. But then Jada's heart sank as her gaze landed on a small group of older students lingering at the back, the familiar tall boy among them. The laughter from earlier flickered back in her mind, doubt creeping back into her heart. Would they return to their old ways? She watched as one member of the group stepped forward, his familiar glare now softened. The tall boy raised his hand for silence. I may not know what it's like to walk in your shoes. But seeing the unity here today, it made me realize something. For too long, I've been part of the problem. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and her heart raced again. I want to change, he continued, an air of sincerity in his tone. Let us all be better. He was willing to turn the tide. As murmurs spread through the crowd, Jada felt a rush of strength. If he could transform, then perhaps so many others could too. A bond was forging in front of her eyes, a fragile yet resilient connection built on vulnerability and understanding. Let us all stand together, Jada called out, her heart full. Let us keep this spirit alive, not just today, but every day moving forward. Around her, students began to break out in cheers, embracing the moment of connection. She felt the warmth of shared purpose envelop her. In that instant, it became clear to Jada that life would always come with challenges, but the choice to embrace love, support, and understanding was theirs. Yes, they had faced storms, but the sun shone bright now, illuminating the hearts willing to change. And as laughter rang out and voices soared, Jada understood they were not just making history today, they were crafting a future. The tide had turned, and she knew they were ready to ride its waves together. This was just the beginning of something beautiful, something that would ripple through Maplewood and beyond. And she felt ready to lead the charge. Now, remember, you need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support by leaving a like to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.